What's up, my YouTube warehouse? It's Johnny Mo. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Just checking in with you, giving you a update. I know it's been a little while. I've been pretty busy here. We've still been getting some hit and miss snows. Probably about two, I would say about 2 events a week we're averaging, and trying to keep up with the salt supply and just getting ready for the season. Just been busy. Just been very busy. What's up, my man? What's up? Wanted to talk to you today about things that you should be doing right now and things that you shouldn't be doing right now. So, right now, I am sending out all of my customers letters, giving them the season, the 2019 season, what they have in store, the treatment plan letter. These will be going out today and tomorrow. I'll be touching base. Good morning. We'll be touching base with all my customers. Any price increases will be on this letter, and anything. And then I give them a list of services that I do, and then they have a chance to maybe get back to me. Yeah, I've had quite a bit of snow, my man. Like I said just a little bit ago, about 2 events a week, even if it's salting. And it gives them a chance, like I list spring cleanup, mowing, landscape maintenance, fall cleanup, snow removal, lawn application. So in all of those descriptions, they have an opportunity when they get this letter to go down through and say, you know what, I don't get landscape management from Johnny, so I'm going to give him a call, see what it costs to do that. So that's one thing you could do, is sending out these letters. I send out a treatment plan with all my treatments and everything that I've planned for the year. They may look at this treatment plan letter and say, you know what, I want to add core aeration, or I want to add a grub control, a preventative insecticide, and we go that route, and we give them prices for that. So that's something you should be touching base with your customers right now. Right now, there's a lot of dealership shows going on. There's a lot of shiny equipment that is being bought right now, or being showed off, and you're getting excited, especially those of you that have had a pretty decent winter. You might have an extra 10 grand laying around, and you're like, yep, I'm going to get me a new machine, hands down. I could tell you this is my 22nd or 23rd year. I'm heading into my 23rd year, 96 to 2019. That's my 23rd year. What I can tell you is, out of all those years, this is not the time to buy a machine, especially a new machine. And what do I mean by that? If you're looking into going into a different brand, yeah, this is a great time to work on that stuff. If you're going to a new brand, let's say I see Wright Manufacturer is really marketing heavily. I see like Ferris is really marketing heavily right now. The dealerships are all having shows. The problem is, going from, let's say you're an Exmark guy and you decide that you want to go to a Ferris. Well, you're going to need some grass to cut. That's a big decision going on site alone. That's all you're getting. Yeah, Randy, that's a good idea. I think about that myself, too. The only thing I would say, Randy, is you got to be careful in drought seasons. I've been doing this for so long. I've had 2 drought seasons. And, dealing with drought, you're going to want to do some landscape management so that you can still collect some income. If you're just a mowing service, or, you're just a lawn application, you might have some issues there getting through the tough spell. But getting back to the point, this is the worst time to demo a mower. It's the worst time to buy a mower. I wouldn't demo a mower until mid-May. If I were you, I would not demo a mower. I've done that with a Skag before. I was cutting grass the first 3-4 weeks of the season. It's the best cutting machine ever created in God's creation. And then it comes, the spring rush. And then you get to find out that the machine really isn't what you thought it was, or you find out it is everything you thought it was. If I were you, I would not demo a machine or buy a machine until that spring rush, when that grass goes, when it's growing a half inch to an inch a day, and that's when you want to that's when you really want to demo a mower. It's not good to go run these mowers around the parking lot, listen to these dealers. I go check them out, make a list of things that you want. Um, you know, just you like this about the mower. You can drive them around the parking lot, but I'm telling you, from 22 to 23 years of experience, the worst thing you could do is buy a mower right now, sight unseen. Especially if you're changing brands. If you're changing brands, this is not the time to play around with a mower. Um, like I said before, I'm big on cutting decks. Cutting decks to me are the absolute number one thing that you're looking for. After that, engines doesn't really matter because everyone seems to have a really good engine. Everybody has seemed, the nicest engine I think it's out right now is the 37 EFI, which I do have that on my newest Ferris. I think that's a really powerful engine. I think it's a good engine. I think that's the Mac Daddy of engines right now. I don't know about the longevity of that engine because it's just relatively new, but they seem to be putting on a lot of different. Why does Exmark have different series decks? Well, Exmark has played with their decks quite a bit over the years. They had what was called a Tri-Advantage, which was an excellent deck. Then they moved to an Ultra Cut. Then they went to an Ultra Cut 4. Then they went to a Triton deck, which was a disaster. And then they went to an Ultra Cut 6, which was a mix of the Triton and the Ultra Cut. And different series of mowers has different decks. I would just go test driving. I think the Ultra Cut deck is their best deck that they have. The Ultra Cut, I like the Tri-Advantage. It probably wasn't deep enough, but I think the Ultra Cut, the original Ultra Cut, is probably their best deck. But honestly, Exmark has a really good history of cutting. As long as you can keep that mower out of really wet grass, high spring growth affects that mower. But it does an excellent job of cleaning up. Again, this is all about decks, and you got to make sure that your deck can cut the grass. You can buy all these expensive baggers, and you can go with walkers that bag, and listen, walkers is a big time waster. It's slow, it's uncomfortable, it's the way you have to dump it. If you have to dump in your truck, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. There's faster ways to dump in the truck. I'm not a component of bagging at all anymore. I don't like it. I think it's a waste of time. And I bagged for many, many years. The best bagging units that I've found that bag the best are upright baggers. The walkers probably bag really good. The 60-inch walker, I know that has some issues with bagging. The 60-inch walker, I have an Exmark rider with Ultra Cut deck, and I always had the ICD deck on my Ferris lays the stripe down pretty good. I would say that the Exmark probably stripes better. The ICD deck is comparable. I don't think it's the best deck. I think the Ultra Cut is the best deck, the Turbo Force and the Ultra Cut, and then I like the ICD deck. After that, I'm definitely not a fan of the Velocity Plus, especially in high grass. You just can't clean the lawn up. I'm not a fan at all. I owned one, put 75 hours on it, and I drove it right through the spring, and I believe I took a $500 loss on that mower just to get it out of my fleet. I thought the mower was built really well. I thought it rode really well, held hills well. I like some of the technology that Skag has, but as far as the Northeast, I just had a lot of trouble with it when, and obviously you're going to have trouble when the grass starts growing. No, I've never tried standard high lift blades on my Time Master. and I wouldn't. I don't think the Time Master has a problem cutting. I've never had an issue. Um, I'm not a fan of the Gravely X Factor 2 decks. They do okay. I just think there's better decks. I think Gravely is a good company. I'm just not a big, huge fan. It's something that I would like to play around with a little bit more, but for the price, the cost of them, and the dealerships around here, they just really weren't worth my time to really look into them. I researched that deck quite a bit. I don't know. I just think, you know, again, I think the X-Mark, the Toro, the ICD deck, I think those are the decks. No, I don't offer snow plowing to all my customers. Driveways. I just don't want to do driveways. I'd rather do commercial parking lots. I'm just, that's where the money is, you know, salting and plowing. Usually a home driveway. I'll answer that. Usually a home driveway, they want you to wait till the storm's over, or don't come unless there's 3 inches. I'm just not a fan of that. You asked me about my opinion about the Ultra Cut in wet conditions. I'm not a real big fan of the Ultra Cut in wet conditions, especially when spring growth happens and it's wet. You can kiss that mower goodbye. You'd probably want to have a Skag Velocity or a ICD deck with a larger throat opening, but realizing this can be very difficult to clean the grass up. Cutting in wet conditions is bad all the way around, and you know, especially in the spring. But my thing with what I had trouble with the Velocity is it just wouldn't clean it up. It made it look like a hayfield. And there's a couple companies around here that have them, and their lawns look terrible in the spring. I mean, terrible. I mean, it looks like hayfields. And it didn't really. Do you charge your customers extra for double cut? No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't think I could get away with that here. I'm sure you could somewhere, but I couldn't get away with charging for double cutting. That spring growth is just nasty. X-Mark probably rules the roost around here for sure. Followed by, I think Ferris has come a long way around here. I see a lot of Ferris mowers here. I think I was one of the first really to promote Ferris around here. Good morning, peeps. What's up, Chuck B? Toro is another good mower. I like, in dry conditions, I think the Toro does really well. I like the Toro above the Turbo Force. I like that above the X-Mark in dry conditions. I think it does a fantastic job. But the X-Mark and Toro are my 2 favorite cutting decks. I mean, they're hands down. And then there's the rest. There's the rest of the company, you know. Other than that, let me see. Plow for subcontractor for Walgreens back in November. Still haven't got paid. How can I get paid? Well, I would go after the subcontractor. And I would go back probably about 3 videos ago, and I would tell you that you should never work for a management company. You could always threaten to sue them. About what hours do you sell your machines? You know what? The last few years, to be honest with you, because of my search for a deck, you know, I haven't really kept a machine that long recently. I've sold them pretty quickly. I really wanted I was really looking for a specific type of machine because my dynamics have changed. I have a new Toro Grandstand for this year and a new to me X-Mark 52. Bobcat Dora decks. I have no experience with the Bobcat Dora decks. They've intrigued me. I do see them around here. There's one company that has them, has a whole fleet of them. I can tell you that I've seen them cut in the morning, and I'm not impressed. I've seen clumps everywhere. It doesn't look like it's too easy to clean up. And you got to remember that anything that's tightly baffled is going to give you an issue. I'm not too impressed. I am impressed with, first of all, the cost of a Bobcat. They definitely redesigned them. I'd love to get my hands on one, and I would love to ride one. What's your thoughts on John Deere? I'm not a John Deere fan. No, I've never used a front-mounted grasshopper. And the 2 mowers that people always, bug me about is Grasshopper and Walkers. Those are the two mowers that, that I get the most, like, you got to try these mowers. Or I've heard great things about the Grasshopper. There's no dealers around me that are close. There is a Walker dealer. What were you saying about subcontractors? About what? What were you saying about? Oh, I wouldn't subcontract myself out, especially when it comes to Walgreens. They're usually done through a management company. Walgreens is. So I just wouldn't work for anyone like that. He just said a Gravely Pro Stance 36 leaves a terrible cut. I don't know. They have a great company, great name. I'm not sure too much about Gravely. They are around here. I did price a. Have you thoughts about the SRS stander from Ferris? I do. I like the ZX3. I think it's too heavy. The Stander 2 is not good on hills. I'm not the biggest Stander fan, but if I was going to buy a Stander, it would probably be a Ferris. Probably ZX3, but again, with the caveat, I don't like the weight of that mower. I think it's too, I just think it's too much. And I think that's too much standing on your knees. Just my opinion. And you got to remember, I've been around since the beginning of the Stander stuff. Hustler Super Z Hyperdrive. Good solid built mower. I hate the deck. I like the adjustable baffle and the turbo force. I always kept mine wide open. I always found that the adjustable baffle worked better wide open for the Toro Turbo. The Hustler Z built very well, cost way too much. Never liked the deck. Never liked it. Never liked it from the get-go. Still don't like it. It's built like a tank. Probably would last a long time, but I'm not a fan of that mower at all. At all. The deck. Again, it comes back to the deck. What percent of your mowing accounts are fertilized weed control? I would say 90, maybe 95% are fertilized weed controlled. That's the percentage. Not always by me. Anyone in your area use Kubota? Yeah. Some people like it. Some people like the Kubota. Kubota's come away. Are you just a lawn maintenance company, or do you do landscaping? I don't do landscaping anymore. I did my last landscape last year, and that was the last one. I don't do it. I do maybe one a year. 90% of our are not here in northeastern Kentucky. Yeah, you're lucky, man. Have a pro stance for a cut improve significantly after removing baffle in high lifts. Thanks for this channel, Johnny. Been 3 years, leaned a lot. Okay. I'm not, like I said, I'm not familiar with the Gravely. I looked into it. I've seen the deck cut. I've been on the mower. I've been to a dealer. The cost plus the deck, I'm just not sure about it. But it's whatever works in your area. Like Skag might work really well in your area. To me, Skag is, for here, if you had really tall grass, it can just knock it right out of the deck. Like cutting down fields, every other week cut, no one cares. I am a fairly new company, about 5 years. What's a good deal for starting a company like me? So we struggle with cutting wet crabgrass July. Well, I mean, crabgrass is just an issue. I don't deal with crabgrass too much, but I deal with a lot of other junk grasses. As far as zero turn, I can't give you. I can only give you I don't know your count mix. I don't know how large it is. The 3 zero turns that I really like are Ferris, especially for comfort, Exmark, and Toro. Those are the 3. I just think that they're hands down better than any other company. That's just my opinion, though. Those zero turns may not work in your area at all. And I would go with, if you see a bunch of Skags running around, by golly, I'd have that Skag sitting on my trailer. I think it's a well-built machine. I love the comfort of the Cheetah. I love how fast it is. I'm just not a fan of that deck. I had major issues with my deck. What model Toro? 3,000 and above. 3, 5, and 6. Not a fan of the 6. The bigger pumps are tight, and it's like a workout. How you charge pine straw by bale? Or I don't do pine straw up here. I do mulch. That's a southern thing. Go contact Blades of Grass. Any comment on John Deere Standard? Works good for me in Michigan. John Deere Standard is an excellent stander. I've used one before for a day. They're one of the few standers, and I don't know if this is true. I think they may have bought out Great Dane. Back in the day, Great Dane was probably the first stander on the market along with Wright. But the biggest thing with the Great Dane is where the platform is between the wheel wells. It's a lot more comfortable there. And so John Deere probably bought Great Dane and took that design. If John Deere works well in your area, I would definitely stay with John Deere. Oh yeah, I'm solo and proud, my man. I'm still going. I'm solo and proud in my plow truck, everything. Do you need to be licensed to have a separate business account and yard books advice? A lot of guys go with yard book. I don't play around with yard book. I use Gopher, and it's the old Gopher. It's the 2006. I've been using Gopher probably for 15 years. Maybe not that long. It might be an over-exaggeration, but I've had Gopher for a long time. It works well for me. So you don't go with your local dealers for mowers? I do. Hey, Johnny, may I have your thoughts on Skag Patriot? Just got it, first real commercial mower. Listen, you know, I'm not a big fan of those. Supreme Services does a great job of doing videos on those mowers. I would never own one, and that's no offense if you have one. I think they're just not even close. They're not even close to what not even close. I mean, I don't want to rip on you know, Skag Patriot or a Hustler Fast Track or, you know, a Toro, whatever. They all have them out there. I'm not a fan of them. I wouldn't use them. I don't suggest them. I would bust that mower. Jeez, I don't know. Probably within the first month, something would definitely break. Just not a fan of that mower. Been looking into Gopher. Seems simply. Can you do a quick review? I don't know. I have the old Gopher. Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions. This is a good one. Quick review on Gopher. BB800 versus Echo 8010. I like the Steel better. I like the Steel better for a couple of reasons. But the Echo 8010 is more powerful. So that's up to you. It's whatever's more comfortable for you. I have both blowers. I'm going to get rid of the Echo. Echo will be sold here pretty soon. I just like the 800 better. Less maintenance with the Echo 8010. Definitely more powerful. I just like some of the features, and I think it has enough power to do what you need out of the 800. As far as Gopher goes, it does scheduling. It schedules your lawns. You put all your customers in. And when I want to generate my month's worth of invoices, I just push generate based on the deck, and you like the Ultra Cut. What made you pick Ferris? I'm going to answer that question right after I finish this Gopher. You put all your customers in, you schedule your lawns, and then when I want to do invoices, you just push generate. Generate all invoices, and it'll spit them right out the machine. And then you fold them up real nice, and you put them in an envelope, and then you mail them out, and that's the end of it. You can make a PDF file if you want to email. I'm sure there's bigger and better things out there today, but you know, I don't like paying a monthly service fee, like $85 a month to own this. I bought this years ago for $110, and I've been using it for years and years. Never had an issue. Never had an issue. It keeps track of my taxes, my state sales tax. It keeps track of all of that. It also has a matrix for snow plowing. So I put all my snow plowing customers in the matrix, and then I push the matrix button, complete snow removal, and then it goes through each customer. And if I did ice melt, I click on ice melt. If I did snow clearing, I click on snow clearing. And so I just goes right down the list, and then bam, it goes right into the invoices. I bill them out at the end of the month. Just phenomenal program. I highly suggest it. I don't know about the new one though. You know, I haven't played with the new one. I'm not interested. If it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it. Now, why did I switch from Exmark to Ferris, or Toro to Ferris? It came down, as the older I've gotten, it comes down to comfort. Now, can the ICD deck cut good enough to what I needed to do? Absolutely. So now we're moving on to comfort. What's the most comfortable mower on the market? Hands down, Ferris. It's Ferris, and then boom, everyone's below it. So, in my mind, comfort has moved up over the cutting capacity of the two other mowers. So now, what about engine? Well, you can get every engine just about on every mower. You can get a very powerful Toro engine, so it's not engine. engine. So now it comes down to comfort and cutting capacity. That's why I went with a Ferris. Plus, I got a really good deal on my Ferris mowers. Probably $2,000 less than the comparable model of the Exmark, which I think the Exmarks are just overpriced. They're just overpriced mowers for me. It's just my opinion. Don't take it. You know, if you got money and you need something that cuts well, Exmarks, and you don't have any back issues, you don't have any issues like that. I like the 3200Z right now. I've owned three 2100s, and I haven't had too many problems out of the 2100s. The 2100s issues are mainly the engine size. The best engine you can get for that is a 32 Vanguard, which had some, what's that called? It had some vapor lock issues, so I always stayed away from it. So I ended up going to 28 EFI. I had no problems out of that engine, but when you got to cut a field down, that's not the engine you want doing it. It'll do it, but it ain't gonna like it too much. So I have the 37 EFI. If you can swing it, I would go up to the 3200. It's just a much bigger, much more beefier mower. Nothing wrong with the 2100, but I will say this. I kind of feel like the Toro 3000 was built better than 2100. I am a 61-inch guy. Who cut your hair? It looks fresh. Thanks, my man. Just a local place here. I would, if you're buying a mower, I would buy the biggest mower you can buy. If you're gonna buy a zero turn, I would probably market myself to the half acre and above market. If you're gonna buy a zero turn, if you're gonna stay small, I wouldn't even play with the zero turn. I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a little Ford Ranger truck, throwing a Time Master in the back of it, maybe buy 2 Time Masters and go and cutting a bunch of small properties, get in and out, maybe $30 lawns, you know, in and out neighborhood, cut 10, 11, 12 a day, real easy, bang, 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 then move on to the next neighborhood the next day. I think that's a good route, but if you're going to go with a zero turn, it's not good to mix and match. It's not good to have a certain sector of lawns that are small mowing and a certain sector, because if you're going to spend $10,000 on a mower, you want that mower running constantly. Do you? Yeah, here in where I'm from, Pennsylvania, I deal with a lot of hills. I'm replacing the Exmark rider with the Ferris rider since I love the stander. Yeah, you could do that. Ferris is making a good product. They've done a good job. The deck, I think the ICD deck has went through 3 series now. My first ICD deck was terrible. Then they started messing with it a little bit. It got a lot better over the years. It's definitely a lot better than the original. Absolutely comfortable. Yeah, 100% best mower, comfort. The older you get, though, you'll see that. It's hard. It's hard on your body. You drive on a mower for 20 years. That's your kidneys, that's your back, that's your legs. That's a lot of years, man. Truck drivers probably feel the same thing. That's why they got those big, massive air seats. But these springs really help out, and it gives you energy out of the day. But again, like I said, guys, do not buy a mower sight unseen, meaning you don't know what this deck can do until the spring hits. And once the spring hits, that's when you want to test drive. As far as standards go, I'd probably say Wright would be the most comfortable stander on the market, in my opinion. I think they've done it for so long. They probably have it all figured out. I'm not a fan of their deck. I mean, even when I watch on YouTube, and I watch close, man, I'll pause it. I'll look at quality cut. I see what it's doing in wet grass. I'm not impressed with that at all. I see guys, and listen, I'm just being honest with you. If you see guys having to blow lawns off with a backpack, listen, man, I maybe had to do that 3 times in 20 years. 3. I mean, if your deck is causing you to blow grass, you don't have the right deck for your area. And I don't mean to be mean. I'm just telling you. I see these guys blowing chunks everywhere and blowing it out the side. I mean, if I was Ed Wright, I'd be like, please take that video down, man. I don't want them seeing that, because to me, I mean, if you listen, 23 years, and I never did that with an X-Smart. I've done it with a Skag, and I've done it a little bit here last year with a Ferris. I got caught in a back lawn. It just finished raining. It was spring growth, and it just tore it up. And instead of going over and smashing it down, I decided to blow it around. And, it worked okay. But to be honest with you, if that's a regular part of your routine, you've got the wrong deck. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because there's no way I'm backpacking a whole lawn after cutting it. It's just the wrong deck. You got the wrong deck for your area. You really do. There's better decks out there, and that's just what I see. That's just what I see with those Wrights. These guys are doing videos, and, last year I saw a bunch of videos at the beginning of the year. Look how good these, even in wet weather. And it was at the beginning of the year, the grass hasn't grown. And then all of a sudden, about 3 or 4 weeks after that, those same Wright standers, I mean, they're just blowing chunks and laying grass everywhere. And I don't know. When I see that stuff, I'm like, nah, no. And then same thing with the Skags. I see guys up there, they're double, triple cutting with them. If you're triple cutting, there's a problem. Bend your knees a little bit more. I had the same problem with my first stander. Okay. Well, I don't generally do standers. I'm interested in them, but I'm just not. Like I said, the 2 standers that I think I would look at right now would be the Wright one, the Wright stander, ZK Killer, and then I would also look at the Z3, the SR2. I just think that, what grass do you cut more, Kentucky Blue or fescue? Well, the grass I have the most problem with is a grass called bent grass. Bent grass and fine fescue are the 2 grasses that I have the most issue with here in the Northeast. Kentucky rye and fescues are the 3 mixes that are in lawns, and they're generally kind of well mixed together, especially Kentucky and rye. But the lawns I have the most trouble with, because it's older lawns, bent grass is just a mess to cut, and it never dries out, ever. It never dries out at all. It just stays wet all year long. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going over the lawn, looking at your front wheels, it's still wet. It's such a thick, dense grass. The only benefit to bent grass, and I wouldn't even consider it to be a benefit, is that when it hits 80 degrees and stays that way, it starts to lay down, and it becomes a lot easier to cut. But in the spring, when it's growing erect, man, does it grow. And that's the grass I have the most trouble with up around here, especially in the older neighborhoods. The older developments that now are over 20 years old, that bent grass is taking over. This guy just said he had a right stander for 20 years and he ruined his knees. Um, and that's the thing. Now that standers are out on the market, I think you're going to see knee issues coming out of this field probably in the next 10 to 15 years. I really believe that. I think that you're going to be pounding your knees, just like the old walk behinds with the Valkeys on the back. Again, like I said, if I was looking at a stander right now, it would be a right ZK killer with a Ferris. Realizing that they're both really overweight, way overpriced, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the standers. I'd rather sit. Did they make Ferris stopped making that one with the seat? I believe that Wright definitely makes a one with a seat. I think Randy out of Buffalo just bought one a few months ago. I think I saw a seat on it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. I have no idea. I'm not into the right standing thing, and I want to sit on a comfortable mower. If I'm going to sit for an hour, it's better than standing for an hour. And again, I've said this for many years. When you come home and you say, "Man, I'm going to go relax," and then do you sit, lay down to relax, or do you stand up? Say, I'm going to go stand in the corner and relax. No, you stand long enough, you're going to be squeezing out your legs and that kind of stuff. The older you get, truck plus trailer, open and closed versus truck. I don't know. Depending on where you live, the enclosed trailer for me was just needed because I got robbed. And it was just easier to lock everything up. I've had issues with my enclosed trailer, especially with being so hot in the summer. I've had some issues. So I don't know. I mean, the heat of that, your mowers never cool down. Your machinery never cools down. So I've had issues. As far as that goes, open trailers are definitely nice. You do get some weather issues with it. I don't know. I can't. I like having everything in my trailer. That's a benefit, but at the same time, how hot it is in there, it's an issue with my mower. I've had issues with my mower. At over 100 inches of rain, record hasn't never dried out. It's raining today here in Georgia. You know what? You're right. I mean, we had record-setting rain here today too. We had really, record-setting rain too. I like a decked out. I do like a decked out open trailer, but securing that at night is an issue. Taking all the stuff off, putting it all back on in the morning. I just pull up, back up to my garage, lock the side door, and just get out of my truck and go. I like that aspect a lot. If I could find a way to really keep it cool in there, and I haven't found a way yet, I think that would go a long way. Well, I'm just about out of time, guys. I'm done here. I just wanted to touch base with you. Best mower for mowing in soaking, pouring rain conditions. None of them. None of them do. None of them. 23 years. There's some mowers that do better than others. The Toro Turbo Force does okay, and then it just becomes really bad. The ICD deck